Hey guys, what's going on? This is your host Michael, or Thoughts Become Things. Now this is the long-awaited, long-promised Silva method video. Now the Silva method explained. There are three different parts that I decided to break this up into. Three different sections. The first section we're going to be talking about what exactly is the Silva method. The second thing we're going to be talking about is learning and understanding brainwave states. And then number three thing that we're going to talk about, the third part that we're going to wrap this one up, is actually called the mirror of the mind visualization technique. And we're going to use that mirror of the mind technique. I'm going to example it and show how we're actually going to use this visualizing technique and what exactly it's going to look like. Now this is actually a re-recording of this video. I have attempted to make this video a couple times and my guides had to tell me you need to simplify this to its greatest simplicity, okay? Don't overcomplicate it. So let's jump into this. The Silva method explained, three different parts. Let's get into this video, guys. I'm excited to make this. So the first part of this video is understanding what is the Silva method. I highly suggest, if you guys aren't familiar with what the Silva method is, do a little bit of research on your own. But in this video, you're going to pretty much learn what it is. And it's actually quite simple. So the Silva method was also called the Silva mind control method. And this mind control method, as it was called, the Silva method, was a book and different presentations that Jose Silva, the founder of the Silva method, was basically teaching other people. And he found a way that if you were able to get your brain wave on a certain frequency pattern, referred to as the alpha wave brainwave state, that you could actually manifest and attract things into your life almost at will. So there was a sort of instant manifestation that would occur in your mind's eye first, and then you could actually go on to like produce the physical results, or the physical equivalent would show up, and you could heal your body and you could improve your memory. There's a whole bunch of different things that we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and move on to this next slide. What is the Silva method? What is exactly the Silva mind control method, simply put? Well, simply put, the Silva method is a system of learning to better control one's own mind, to promote wellness, alleviate stress, to promote greater health, vitality, to manifest positive outcomes and results. The Silva method is also a system of learning to increase creativity and also your memory, and it's also a tool to develop better concentration. So if you guys need to pause on these different slides and take notes and stuff, go ahead and do that right now. So there's a lot of positive benefits whenever we talk about the Silva mind control or the Silva method. The second part of this presentation, I'm now moving on to. So part two is learning and understanding brainwave states. That's the title of the second part. And this is actually pretty simple. So we're using different brainwave states to create for our lives. And that's actually the next point that we're making. Now, this is the most important note and star key point within this whole presentation. So if you don't get anything else, hone in right now and understand this point. So within learning and understanding brainwave states, guys, we need to note and illuminate this statement that it's our brainwave states that actually create for our lives. Believe it or not, our manifestations don't just have to do with what we visualize. Our manifestations do not just have to do with the physical action that we take out in the physical universe. And it's also not just the internal processes that we process through. What bridges everything together so that we can manifest more effectively, that's the term. If we're going to manifest and take our visualization techniques and our imagination techniques to the next level, we need to be doing all these things and affirming things. Even you can do affirmations. It's what you tell yourself. But it's not just what you tell yourself that's going to prove this most effective. If you can get your brainwave state on a certain wavelength referred to as the alpha brainwave state, the alpha theta border, in different brainwave states, you can actually better and faster manifest your reality into existence. So we're going to talk about different ways to actually obtain the alpha wave state. But before we get to some of the ways that your brain waves can actually produce alpha wave, let's go ahead and show you this diagram right now. Now you can pause this again, pause and go back and refer to some of these other visualizations. Now Jose Silva came up with this presentation as well, and he came up with an image to actually view where you could see, hey, what are these different level of brainwave states and how are these actually affecting my consciousness? And see, our consciousness is affected via what different brainwave state that we access. So I wanted to show you this, that you can see the beta, we have the beta brainwave states, which there's a certain brain rhythm. It's called cycles per second. And whenever we talk about beta, we're talking about anything that's like 15 or 16 or even 20 cycles per second. This is sort of how fast or slow your brain waves are moving. So a highly anxious state, you're going to find that these are going to be very, very fast moving brain waves, such as beta brain waves and even gamma brain waves. So these are very, very fast, brainwave states that most of us, I would say, actually operate in on the conscious level. But there's deeper levels of brainwave states that we can access to access greater creation for our lives, like conscious manifesting and things like this. Well, if we want to access the conscious manifesting, we have to use our inner consciousness, which is directly correlated to, as you see on screen now, the alpha. So focus in now on the alpha wave, brainwave state on this diagram. Now this is the state that we're going after. But me showing you this diagram doesn't show you exactly, hey, how do I actually get into this alpha wave state? Well, one good thing to note about the alpha brainwave state, now this is what we're going after, specifically 10 cycles per second. Jose Silva himself actually found and discovered that the strongest brainwave frequency for creating and manifesting was at its most potent energy, and the least amount of resistance was in 10 cycles per second. So if you could look on this chart and locate the 14 cycle per second borderline of beta and alpha brain rhythm cycles per second, and then go down a little bit to the alpha theta border, that's what we're going after, about 9 to 10 cycles per second. This is when we're in a nice meditative, relaxed state. Now we go in and out of beta and alpha all throughout the day. Now it just depends on how stressed we are and things like this, but typically we operate in like light level alpha and then heavy beta brainwave frequency state as we're going all throughout the day. But you find that some people have trained, and see, that's what Jose Silva was teaching, that you can literally train a person to basically condition their mind to produce the alpha brainwave state more often, thus perpetuating and expanding your horizons as far as your results go. You can actually manifest much faster, guys. We're talking about instant, same day manifestation type of stuff. But this is through, Jose Silva said that you have to actually do things like actionable steps every day, certain things to get your mind nice and relaxed. It's almost like practicing meditation. If you guys want to view this in a very simple light and perspective, you must practice mindfulness meditation like at least once per day. Most people do this before drifting off to sleep because your brain's already drifting into the deep level alpha theta border. That's actually where our brain waves are whenever we're dreaming. They go down into the unconscious delta level. That's what we're completely unconscious of. That's when brain waves are extremely slow. And this is where sort of time and space completely disappear, believe it or not. This is kind of what the spiritual world is all about. Whenever we access the spiritual plane of existence, it's said there's no more time or space. So we can better manipulate and see things from a whole different perspective instead of rushing around in this hyperactive brainwave state that's beta and gamma states, our brainwaves are slow. They're nice and relaxed. In fact, they can become so relaxed that we go unconscious. And that's actually what we do whenever we drift off to sleep, is that our brainwaves slow to such a degree that we drift off into what we refer to as sleep. So during sleep, we are producing theta waves, and we're oscillating between theta, delta, alpha, and this is how our dreams come about. But there is a specific brainwave level that is referred to as the alpha level, specifically 10 cycles per second brain rhythm, 10 cycles per second alpha in the green there, that if we can learn and train our brain to be on that wavelength more often, which we do have the power to do that, we're going to talk about several ways to do this, then we can actually ultimately not only be more relaxed in our everyday lives, but calm down, and we can actually think things through. We're not in such a hyperactive, anxious state. So you can train the brain. You can literally train your brain waves to start producing alpha consistently, which means that you can literally, we're talking about creating our own reality. You can consciously create your reality, but it's better to consciously create your reality from alpha than doing it from beta, because view alpha as like way better and faster results. Beta, you can still produce results in beta, but they're not going to be as close knitted. They're not going to be as relaxed. It's going to be a hyper active state. You can manifest from beta all of the time. We do it all of the time. But what happens is that if your brainwave states are too active, there sort of produces an anxiety behind that. So we don't want that. We want to produce alpha more of the time. So let's get into how are we going to produce alpha more of the time. Now that we've gone over this diagram, we're moving on to this slide. You might find this fascinating. Ways to get your brain waves on alpha. Now again, guys, view this as you're training yourself. Do at least 2 or 3 of these every single day. And in doing so, you are producing alpha brainwave states, which promotes. How will you know if you're an alpha? Well, you're going to be very, very calm. That's like the first indicators that you're going to see, hey, this is very strange. Like, I was in a hyperactive state, but now I'm actually calm for like no reason. And it's because your brainwave states slowed down, and there's different processes and actions that we can take every day. So let's talk about some of these ways to get your brainwaves onto the alpha wave frequency more of the time. Now guys, these are just a few things that you can do, okay? These are the things that I've sort of come up with that you can do, but there are many, many, many different ways to get your brainwaves onto alpha. So let's talk about these. Believe it or not, humming can actually produce alpha waves. If you take the time to hum, such as I'm doing now, like if you produce different tones whenever you are humming, that is actually producing alpha waves, causing greater relaxation, and it's also manifesting your dreams, desires, health, wealth, happiness, whatever you're putting your mind towards. It's manifesting those things very, very much faster. And the reason why you manifest faster in alpha is because there's more energy and less resistance. So, as you're drifting off to sleep and you're in theta, and then whenever you're dreaming, you're in delta waves and you're completely unconscious at that point. Your physical body, your conscious mind's completely out of the way. Your brainwaves have slowed to such a degree that your resistance becomes like nothing. So there's all this energy now, and you can live a whole existence within this energy field. But we don't want to do it from an unconscious level. We want to manifest consciously, but we don't want to do it via the hyperactive beta state. We want to do it through alpha. So again, the first way to practice getting into alpha more is through humming. Now, one of the second ways that you can produce alpha waves is by gargling, believe it or not. This one's not talked about that much, but if you gargle, now it doesn't have to be any specific beverage or liquid, just make sure that you're safe in doing so. You can gargle salt water, you can gargle regular water, you can take whatever beverage you're drinking right now, you can gargle it. But by you humming and working with your vocal tonality as well as gargling, believe it or not, that gargling sensation sends alpha wave vibrations throughout your throat that originate in your throat, area, and it vibrates through your head, it vibrates through your whole body. We're talking about vibration here whenever we're talking about alpha level and different brainwave states. Remember, guys, it's your brain wave states that are actually creating for your life. So brain wave states create. Remember that. So the next thing that you can do, this is one of my favorites, is by listening to alpha and or theta wave audio music. Now I'm showing you on screen my favorite one that I go to, that I sleep with every single night, drifts me off to sleep, and it just feels so good. This is calming. It produces serotonin and dopamine and certain things in your mind. Your brain waves calm down. These relaxing chemicals naturally flow to you. But you can actually listen to some things on YouTube, such as I just showed you, where you can listen to certain audios. I suggest typing in Alpha Waves Pure on YouTube, and many helpful resources will come up. You just literally listen to it audibly, and it influences your brainwave states to produce a slower, more rhythmic, more calm brainwave state. And you're training your mind, guys. None of this is going to work if you don't train yourself on it. You have to meditate on these things like almost daily. Start incorporating some of these things, and these are just getting us started. There are many different things that can promote alpha wave brainwave states, including like yoga, taking magnesium, drinking a hot tea, like warm beverages do this. You can eat certain foods that are rich in potassium and magnesium. They also slow down your brainwave states, thus promoting relaxation, promoting calmness. That's nothing more than alpha wave brainwave states. Now let's talk about some of these other ones to get your brainwaves onto alpha. So we talked about humming, gargling, the use of making certain noises with your inner tones and stuff like ah, ee, ooh, om. You can, use your voice to produce alpha waves as well. So you can listen to certain audio hypnosis that have theta waves in them, alpha waves, and you're also through meditation. You can still your body completely through meditation and mindfulness. And literally just taking time, guys, like you could take literally 3 minutes out of your day to just still your entire body and just turn off all audios, turn off everything, and just be still. And believe it or not, being still, stilling your body actually stills the mind, and it produces alpha and theta waves in your brain. These are healthy things, guys. This is where your body is literally able to catch up and rejuvenate and heal itself naturally. This is where healing and natural healings actually take place on the level of alpha, theta, delta. This is why we actually require so much sleep, is because that's whenever our bodies are repairing itself the very most. So we want to think in terms of brainwave states that are actually creating for our lives. This is how we're going to heal our bodies. This is how we're going to heal our minds, produce calmness, wellness, vitality, manifest the amount of money that we have a goal of earning and things like this. You're doing it all of it, believe it or not, is through this drowsy, calm, relaxation state referred to as the alpha state. So keep this in mind. Another thing that you can do that I've been incorporating daily is moving your eyes upward at a 20-degree angle. Now, Jose Silva himself actually found that if you held your head still and then you took your eyes, and you can do this right now as a practice. I want you to do this right now. Take your eyes, and without moving your head or your neck, move your eyes to the right and slightly upward, and hold that pose for about 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds. And if you hold your eyes upward and to the right. Don't strain yourself too hard, but just, look up at a slight 20-degree angle up and to the right. And if you hold that long enough and then you come back to center, you're going to find, oh, wow, what I feel sort of weird. I have to reorient my focus. And you might find that once you take your eyes out of that right-hand position, you guys can stop now if you're still doing it, and recenter, refocus on this video or whatever you're doing right now, which is this video. And notice that your brain and even some of the muscles in your neck actually should naturally relax. So you should feel physical changes, but it's also affecting you emotionally, spiritually. It's allowing your brain waves to slow down and to catch up and to calm down. That's what we're going after. All these things are very beneficial. So another thing that you can do is just daydreaming. So practicing your visualization. Do this in a very calm, effective manner by just visualizing, not too much of a scene, but just visualize a short, like 10 to 15 second scene or even 5 second scene where you're just seeing yourself living in the end. Hey, this is where I want to be in my life. I want to live at this house. I want to be healthy. Okay, so I'm at the gym working out. I'm actually healthy. I see myself healthy. It's whatever you guys are going for specifically. You could see yourself. This is another example. You're wanting to have a certain position at work or have a certain other job. You're actually happy doing your job. If you're currently unhappy with whatever career job you've chosen, you're now actually happy and joyful doing that task. Like, you can change anything around, but you have to do this through the alpha wave state. So calm your mind, practice meditation, listen to theta wave pure tone on YouTube, gargle, hum a little bit more. It's these simple acts that add up, and it sort of reconditions. If you do these things habitually, it actually, Jose Silva was finding that you can actually recondition your mind to actually normalize alpha wave. So it's almost like you're always in the alpha wave. You can do this. It's happening all the time. And I declare and decree that you're now producing alpha now more than ever, especially now that you're becoming aware of the topics and points that we've made in this video. So I'm going to keep on repeating it. It's in taking the action steps, guys. Writing, journaling can produce alpha. Drinking a warm beverage can produce alpha. Also, EMDR. If you guys aren't familiar with eye movement desensitization therapy, look up EMDR. Look up EMDR and search up that. There's also EFT tapping. Now, EFT tapping does the same thing. It slows your brainwave states to an alpha theta state to where it's calmer. And there's also acupressure. There's massage therapy. There's simple things that we can do. Acupressure is a great way to slow down your brain waves. There's certain points on the body that you can literally just touch gently and hold, and it will literally produce alpha and theta waves, believe it or not, that fast. But most of us aren't in the habit of doing it. So now I declare and decree that now you're becoming aware of this material. Now you are incorporating this habit. So let's move on. I didn't want to stay on that too long. We talked about the different ways to get your brain waves onto alpha. We want to habituate this, guys. It's all about habituating this habit. Remember, it's your brainwave states that create, and we are going for the alpha. We're going to produce calmness through mindful meditation, and we are producing alpha more of the time. So incorporate a lot of those things that I just talked about. Like I said, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, EMDR, is probably one of the most effective, useful tools that I have found personally. So let's move on to the final third part of this video. You're seeing the third part slide now. We're going to be talking about real briefly using the mirror of the mind technique. It's referred to as the mirror of the mind method. And you're doing this visualization method to solve problems. This is the third and final part to this video. Thank you for tuning in and watching the duration of this video. Go through it a couple times so that you can actually learn, hey, what is this brainwave state all about? This stuff is seriously real. There are hundreds of thousands of testimonials of people that have healed their bodies from chronic illnesses and all this other stuff and things that looked impossible, and they did it through accessing higher levels of consciousness by slowing their brainwave states. Jose Silva has all of this documented. You guys can look all this up. And if you can train your brain to produce alpha and theta more of the time, you're actually not only calming the mind and calming yourself down, but you're reducing the resistance. Anytime that you reduce the resistance, that's what you're going after. That's whenever you get the best results in your life. You are reducing the resistance while simultaneously funneling this energy. See, even though you have less resistance, whenever you have less resistance, you actually have more energy flowing through the pipeline that is going into your consciousness. So it seriously is. Most of us, whenever we don't receive and we're not getting what we want, it's because we have too much of an anxious state about it. So we need to learn to calm by natural means and methods, calm our brainwave states to produce alpha, theta more of the time. Yes, even when you're awake. Even though you might appear to be, hey, I'm a little more drowsier, it's not going to be drowsy. You're actually going to be promoting relaxation. It's going to be a natural calmness, and then this reduces the resistance. Thus, you are able to better create with your mind. You can think things through. You can actually think things out. You can better manifest things. You can better and more effectively manifest the life of your dreams, the reality, the goals, aspirations that you have set for yourself. So let's finally talk about using the mirror of the mind method to solve problems. Now, whenever we're talking about the mirror of the mind method, we are referring to a visualization tool. The mirror of the mind method is nothing more than a visualization tool and technique, a visualization technique that you can use to solve problems. So guys, if you're currently fighting or dealing with any problems, you're going to use this mirror of the mind technique. Now, first and foremost, you have to make sure that you understand this point. So this slide, now that you're reading on screen the text, it's good to first know the following. Before we get into this mirror of the mind visualization technique, it's good to note that all problems, believe it or not. Now, I found this very interesting. This is actually the thing I found most interesting. That all problems, believe it or not, are created when your brain waves are in beta. Now, this is extremely interesting because problems aren't what we thought, guys. Problems are a brainwave state. So problems are a brainwave state. So let's better produce alpha. Remember, rewind the video and go back to different ways to get your brain waves onto the alpha wave state, because we talked about how to train the brain to get onto this brainwave state. So let's move on to this technique. It's also good to note this. You cannot solve your problems while in the same brainwave state that created the problems, which is beta. So if your brainwaves are trained to be in beta, that highly anxious state, we are going to retrain the brain through neuroplasticity. And we are going to train the brain to produce a greater alpha state. So let's move on. This is using the mirror of the mind method to actually solve problems. So you're going to, number one, this is a visualization technique that I'm showing you what this would actually look like on the screen of your imagination. This is an actual visual representation of what this would actually physically look like in your imagination. So you're going to use this mirror of the mind technique to solve any problem and to rejuvenate your life. Number one, you need to make sure that your brain waves are in a nice, calm, relaxed alpha wave pattern. So again, listen to a theta wave brainwave hypnosis or a alpha wave pure tone hypnosis on YouTube via audio. Do a little bit of humming before you do this technique. Relax in a nice calm bath setting. You know, you want to maybe do some journaling, writing, have a screensaver of it snowing in the winter time. The snowflakes produce alpha waves. It's very, very calming, relaxing. You want to slow your brainwave states. So number one is to get into the nice, relaxed state. Before you visualize, make sure you're nice and relaxed. You can do this before bed because you're naturally relaxed before bed. Typically. Depends on how good or bad your sleep is. Now, you can visualize for healthy sleep. You can do this anytime, anywhere, any place. Just make sure, number one, that you're relaxed. So you're probably wondering why you've been staring at a blue rectangle. This is actually part of the mirror of the mind visualization technique that we're going over right now. It's very, very simple. I'm going to go over this very, very quickly because we're coming up. This presentation is getting a little bit longer here. So you can use this technique to solve problems. This is the third and final part and piece to the video. So now that you're in a nice, relaxed mood and producing alpha waves, you're going to visualize a blue frame, a blue rectangle. And this is happening on the screen of your imagination. I'm just helping you what this would actually look like. And you are imagining the first scene in a blue outline, a blue frame that's rectangular. And now you are visualizing the problem situation. You're visualizing now the problem situation that is popping up, and you're putting that problem situation. Say your health isn't that good. You're seeing yourself fatigued and tired all the time and things like this. I'm just using this as an example. It could be a relationship problem. It could be a health problem. It could be a family problem, financial concern. You know, you're sick of like paying the bills because you can never have enough money and all this other stuff. So you're visualizing the problem within the blue frame, okay? On the screen of your imagination, you're doing this yourself. I'm just showing you what this would look like visually speaking, but you're doing this in your own imagination. This is called the mirror of the mind, and you're using this to solve problems. So you get your brainwaves into alpha. Hey, I'm nice and relaxed. Now I'm going to do this mirror of the mind technique to get myself out of this rut. And this has been documented, guys. This has been literally documented to turn people's lives around entirely. Just this one visualization technique can do this. That's why I'm going over it. So what happens is you're going to visualize within the blue rectangular frame on the screen of your imagination and mind the problem situation. Say you don't have a good relationship and it's just not working out right now, and there's financial worries and there's all this stuff. Well, you're visualizing the situation playing out. Say it's a relationship problem. You are now seeing the situation play out within the blue rectangle, and you're not staying on this very long, okay? It's a very short technique. I'm just explaining it. It's taking me longer to explain. So you're seeing the problem situation and study it a little bit, and then now what I want you to do, this is the second part to this mirror of the mind technique. Now you are going to slowly erase the problem situation within that blue frame. And you're going, while slowly you're moving that image from your mind, you're moving the blue frame slightly to your left, okay? You don't have to move it completely. You don't have to turn your head completely to the left in your imagination. No. In your imagination, you're moving it just slightly. You're just moving it over a little bit like you see on screen. Now the blue frame's no longer in the center of your positioning. It's just a little bit over, something completely different. And now you have the separate blue frame, and it's transitioning, and you're changing the color of it from blue to white. So now you are perceiving within your imagination a white frame. The color has changed. So you have erased the old memory and everything, and you're also changing the white. You're changing the frame from blue to white, and it's moved over slightly to your left. Again, guys, this is all happening in your imagination, but this is just what it looks like visually whenever you're going to do this exercise. You have to visualize your problem situation, and then in blue, and then you have to move that over slightly to your left. And now what you do to change the situation, we have turned the frame, the blue frame, from blue to white. And now you're going to visualize you having the ideal situation. You completely forgot about the blue frame and what it held. That's in the past. You're visualizing the new situation. You live happy. You're living in the end of your wish fulfilled. You have more than enough money. You have a perfect job now. Like, you got a promotion. You're getting paid more. Whatever situation it is for you, now you're actually romantically tied into that current relationship that wasn't working out. Now it's flourishing with flowers. Guys, you have to do this through imagery and imagination for this to be effective. And say it was a relationship. Well, it used to be bad, but now you're living in the end. Now you're only focused on this white rectangular frame, and you're framing this as, hey, this is the reality that I'm perceiving. This is the trueness of the reality. Forget about the blue frame. You're just focusing on this white frame. That's the mirror of the mind technique. That's all it is. And now you're visualizing in that white frame, slightly moved to the left, your ideal situation, and you never go back to the blue. The blue's in the past. Never go back to that. Never refer back to that. You're only now literally only focused. Train your mind, and this is a mental exercise that you can do daily as often as you want. Just make sure that you're nice and relaxed before proceeding, because it's not going to be as effective if you're not as relaxed. So if you are relaxed, though, it means that you're producing a more alpha wave brainwave state, and you can actually create this reality much, much faster. And you're training your brain, and your subconscious mind is soaking up the information, saying, hey, wow, this the white frame situation, I'm like already healthy. You're teaching yourself in a relaxed state that you are healthy, that you are living the relationship of your dreams, that you are having financial success, that you are working a job that you're joyful and happy at. Whatever it is for you personally, I just use relationships for the sake of this video as an example. So remember, this can be anything specifically tailor-made to you, but you are doing this on the screen of your imagination. And now, after you have soaked up that image on the white frame. Now that's all you refer back to. Next time you visualize this, just go straight back to the white frame, and you are using images to direct your subconscious mind. And believe it or not, if you do this exercise, but just a couple times, if you're doing this in alpha, you only have to do it a few times. The principle is that you are impressing your subconscious mind through your imagination. That's all it is. But you're imagining in a nice, relaxed alpha brainwave state. So you see how simple this was. You are training your body and brain waves to produce alpha waves, number one. And then number two, you are utilizing the mirror of the mind method to receive what you want. Whatever that you desire, you are working your imagination in such a easy, simplistic way, but a way that's been proven effective. So guys, try out this mirror of the mind. This was the Silva method explained, the 3 different parts. We went over the 3 different parts. We went over what the Silva method was. We went over learning and understanding that brainwave states actually create, and that it's our brainwave states that are actually responsible for the creation process within our lives. If we're attempting and we've decided to manifest something, it's not us manifesting it necessarily, it's our brainwave states that are better manifesting our situations for us. So keep these things in mind. Practice the mirror of the mind technique to change any problem situation that you're dealing with currently or have dealt with in the past, and you are changing this over to a favorable outcome. So guys, thank you for checking out this video. Remember, it is only going to be through lessening your resistance that you're going to get what you want faster. The only way to get what you want faster is through an alpha brainwave state. And if you want to take it to the next level, you add in the mirror of the mind technique, and you add in visualization techniques, and you add in, hey, I haven't been really working on my imagination, but now on the screen of my imagination, hey, I'm living in the end. I'm healthy. I am doing exactly what I want to do. I'm living joyful. I'm seeing myself smiling, happy, and this is a mental exercise that we're doing through our imagination. But there's other things that you can control in your everyday lives, such as getting your brain waves and retraining those to get on a deeper, relaxed alpha wave state. Remember, we talked about EMDR. Do that. Look into that. Look up EFT tapping. Look up moving your eyes upward at a 20-degree angle, which is eye movement desensitization. Look up meditation, mindfulness practices, easy, simple practices that add up over time, and retrain, literally guys, retrain your brain to promote less and less resistance to things. And whenever we do this, we are now creating effectively for our lives. We're not stumbling upon trying to create in a highly anxious beta brainwave state, but we're doing it from a relaxed position. We're doing it from a, hey, I'm actually thinking things through now. Like, I'm not panicking in any situations in that beta brainwave state, but I'm actually producing a greater relaxed state. Guys, our brainwave states literally directly correlate to our results. If that's the last thing you got from this video, get that. Your results literally are dependent upon what brainwave state you are accessing. That's how powerful brainwave states are, guys. You are able to perceive completely different realities if depending on the brainwave state that you're in. And that's what I'm saying. You can create a better reality for yourself whenever you train your brainwave state to produce alpha more of the time. So I declare and decree that you have learned this material. If you haven't, and if you're maybe still unsure about some things, just go over it again, rewatch the video in its entirety. So I'm glad I went over this, guys. I had to talk fast to get through all the material without it being 50 minutes or an hour long. So guys, thank you for checking out this video. One last time, this was your host, Mike Michael, Our Thoughts Become Things. This video was called The Silva Method Explained, the 3 different parts.